wanted to, number one, apologize for being tardy this evening. Again, my name is Cindy Bass. I represent the 8th District, which is in the northwest section of the city of Philadelphia. We need to not fight each other, but work to find solutions to help each other. And for any one of us, when we look at the encampments, we could say, but for the grace of God, there go I. And so all that being said, once again, I wanted to really just say thank you to everyone who's here tonight and look forward to hearing all of your testimony. Thank you.
Your name for the record. You got to talk close to the microphone.
Sure, thank you. My name is Jose Benitez. I am the Executive Director over at Prevention Point Philadelphia. And I was just asked to talk a little bit about some of the programs that have been successful. I know it feels that we're not making progress, but there is some progress being made as we speak. One of them is that we were, with the help and support of the City Office of Homeless Services, along with CBH, along with the behavioral health system, and along with the assistance of our councilwoman, we were able to open a small, what we call a respite 40-bed facility at the Old Village Thrift. We have been running the respite for the last 3 years. It started off with a cooperation with Project Home. We've housed in the respite throughout the years. It went from the basement of the church, 23 people, up to 40 across the street. And we've been able to place about 46% of those folks into long-term housing programs. So having this small approach and a targeted case management approach has allowed us to place people, get them off the street into low barrier housing, and in some cases treatment and longer term housing. So that as a model has been something that has been working for us, even though we're on a small scale. Then recently we were asked to assist with an additional 40 beds that's being funded again by the Office of Homeless Services, and we hope to have an additional 40 beds up and running by May 1st. We have a medically assisted treatment, a low barrier medically assisted treatment program that we have at Prevention Point. We've been running that for the last 10 years. We recently increased our slots to 200 slots. That's within the last year. We already have 150 of those 200 slots filled. And over, I would say, close to 80% of the people that are in our medically assisted treatment slots are doing well. They're stabilized and are really working hard on their programs and are doing well at this particular point. I just think that we as a community have, it's a tough situation. It's a complex issue. So not one thing is going to sort of solve our problem. We need to have multiple approaches to what we're doing now at this particular point. And some of them have to be things that we try and see that are new, that we try and see, how we can support people so that we can get them back to stable lives, and hopefully to some stable housing.
Just quickly, to Councilman Dom's point, what is the average cost, or have you figured out what the average cost is from your entry point to your long-term time and cost? And if you don't have that, if you could submit that to the panel, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I could do that. What I can tell you is that we are being supported by, our respite costs about $450,000 a year to run if we're doing it year round. And mind you that we are, it's limited, so we're not open 24/7 unless there's a weather emergency. But we can get you
So
some.
you're doing the low barrier $40 bed, not the $150 bed or $300?
That's correct. It comes out to about $40 to $60.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Councilman Dom.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me okay or no?
Yep.
Okay. So I've been up to see you, because you do a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
If I said to you, we have this problem on these 3 or 4 streets, Frankfurt, Kensington, Emerald, what was the other street? Tulip. What do you think the solution is?
It's going to cost us some resources. I mean, I think that's one of the pieces of it, but I think we're starting to put the pieces together, right? It's smaller respites. It's engaging people in groups, because whether we like it or not as a community, you know, and unfortunately I have to say some tough things here, which whether we like it or not as a community, the encampments have become communities. And we have to engage them in a way that's both respectful and honest to that, right? To work with people as community, so that if we're going to try this, I think Eva sort of made mention of this in her testimony. We're trying to, we're going to try this. We're going to try to move people as a community together and then intensely work with them. But it is a resource issue, because housing is a huge issue in every city in this country, right? And so it becomes difficult for us to move people down the line. And I think that's a matter of resources.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
One last question, I'm sorry, just before you go, and I want to thank you for your service and what it means to the city. A part of the city's issue, I think, was now that we have to move as a community, we allowed these communities to build and to develop, and it makes it harder for us now to address them. And I think, so what we're looking for is trying to move them as communities, but also try to make sure that they just don't have the opportunities to create new communities in different places. And I think by that, we do need enough resources to do that. We do need more beds, and understanding we're going to be opening up another respite. But we as a city are willing to come up with those additional resources to do that. Again, we have to find locations, and that's challenging. But we know that if we now have these resources, these locations for our folks to go to get assistance, we then could say, you know what, we have places for you to go, you can come here, it's not okay to live in a tent on our streets. And we have to make sure that we give you that opportunity to get the care that you need. And I think if we do that and change our philosophy so that these communities don't build, and so that then again it becomes harder and harder for us to then say, we have to take the whole group as one, where if it's one person, we address that one person, try to get them in and say, it's okay, we have this help for you. And not everybody's going to want to go. And we know that. You have to engage some people sometimes 10, 20, 30, 50 times before they build that trust to go. But knowing that we have it available to them and that they're not going to be able just to live in that tent at that location is something that I think we need to really work on, and to make sure that the folks out there need to.
Good. I agree, Councilman. I appreciate the comments. I agree with that. I think it's in lots of times, in my experience doing this, it's slow work, because we have to develop some trust with people. And then we also, as I said, it does become a resource issue. And it's sort of trying to find different places for people to be. I constantly say to our staff, you have to have scrambled eggs over easy, omelets ready for people, because some people don't like some people won't like the scrambled eggs. They want the omelet. And we have to figure all of those kinds of menu items out in our service delivery system. And And I think that that's sort of where we're headed. And this crisis has allowed us to have this conversation. I think it's you know, we can all agree it's past due time that we have this conversation, but I think the approaches are changing, and you know, it's unfortunate. I don't know if they're going to change fast enough to meet all of the need, but at least we are heading in a direction where we're listening to each other, and so I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Council. My name is John Cooper. I'm Director of Self-Help Movement. I'm Program Director of 120-bed Department of Corrections Wing. I was on the Mayor's Task Force. I work in the field. I'm in the trenches every day, and I say that not to boast, but I'm also 17 and a half years away recovering from a 15-year heroin addiction. I didn't read this stuff in the book, and one of the most intimidating things that I went in my life when I was appointed to the Mayor's Task Force, you know, I got my GED in federal prison. I was born in Episcopal Hospital, went to visitation, and went to North Catholic. I'm a neighborhood kid. You know what I mean? The thing that I want to focus on, because there's a million things I can talk about, and a million things that I can say about what's wrong. But I think the most important in access to treatment, what we're missing right now, what is being taken away from our children is a choice. We're no longer being given a choice, we're being remanded to a certain type of treatment. And understand this, I am not against anything that works for anyone. But I think that when choice is taken, people are denied treatment because they don't want to accept the first recommendation for treatment, I think is a crime within itself. And those children are put back on the street and then represent and hope that they can get access. I work in the community outreach. I take, and this is not to boast, but I take multiple phone calls, multiple mothers telling me whose children are in crisis on MAT treatment, supplementing with benzodiazepine, and their children seeking emergency treatment and denied because they're on an existing level of care. And the next phone call I get from that mother is from the 25th District, whose child was found in an overgrown lot in North Philadelphia. We need choice. I respect what you had to say about, you know, we know what's going on. What are we doing toward? Are we putting our best efforts? But in order for us to make change, we need to look inside ourselves. And the way that the access to treatment is being run and utilized, and the denial of treatment, how much of a part in the opioid overdose death does that play? But no, we don't want to look in our own house. We want to sit on top of the hill and recognize that everything's good up here because we can read statistics, because we can look at a chart. But we're on the front lines. We see what happens every day. We see these mothers, these fathers, these children, these aunts, these uncles. We see what the denial and the access to treatment causes families in these communities. I don't have all the answers. And everyone that I talk to say it's a broken system, but it's our system. But unless we can start to have accountability to these providers, because I'm so proud of the institution that I work for, because we go from everything from GED, case management, job search, access to computer labs, access to everything, and we do it for probably about 60% less than the going per diems. So there is no excuse with resources. We need more resources. I'm not going to say that, but we need accountability to those that serve us.
Thank you. As I said, the next group is Brother Ramon.